Mr. M-O-M-E-N-T. She prays she never miss a M-O-M-E-N.
This video gas? Alright, hold on.
A character the audience had never seen on screen, yet Marvel threw him into one of the biggest ensemble films ever made, trusted the audience to keep up, and with
There's all different cuisines: Indian, Chinese, Caribbean, African, Greek, Turkey, Italian. Just like y'all in the US. Ah, so y'all ain't really... But, okay. Not saying like everybody's got a little bit of something where they live. I'm talking about y'all shit. Like, what's... I mean, that's fair. But, like, what shit do y'all have in London? Like, that's exclusive. That y'all make that shit gas. Because I gotta know. Like, what's some of your favorite shit in London that's just fire? Because I got to look it up. I got to see something, bro. Because real shit, I know y'all got some heat over there that I probably never heard of.
within minutes, he felt as important as the original Avengers. That shouldn't be possible.
God, RIP
but
my
Marvel
nigga Chadwick,
followed
bro.
a very specific introduction formula. To understand how they pulled that off, we have to rewind to 2015. The MCU just finished Phase 2, but behind the scenes, there was a problem. The Marvel formula. You know, quippy dialogues, third act giant CGI battle, where the villain is basically just the hero but evil, and the mandatory origin story arc, discover powers, train, fail, win. It was becoming a very expensive assembly line. Enough! Iron Man made that formula look fresh in 2008, but by 2016, it felt like a trap. Kevin Feige had planned to introduce Black Panther into the MCU for years, and he knew that the second the audience could predict him, he was cooked. So, he asked a question nobody in Hollywood had the guts to ask. What if we just skip the origin story? What if, instead of giving Black Panther his own movie first and then having him join the Avengers, we flip the order? What if we drop him into an existing conflict, fully formed, fully competent, absolutely regal, and let the audience experience the mystery of who he is before we explain it? In television,
I ain't gonna lie, that's such a gas concept, bro. Real shit. That was literally the best way they could have introduced this nigga, bro. I mean, you know of Black Panther, like if you weren't already informed of what the character was or who he was, going into that shit blind was probably fucking fire to anybody who never seen Black Panther or read anything about him. I mean, it was still gas the way they introduced him, but nigga, what? That shit is amazing. Just throw a nigga in, just chasing down a Winter Soldier and Captain America with ease?
they call this a backdoor pilot. You introduce a character in someone else's show, generate buzz, and then spin them off. But nobody had done this in movies at this scale. Nobody had trusted an audience to fall in love with a character before they understood him. It was a gamble, a massive one, and it required a very specific kind of execution. Because here's the thing about introducing a king. You can't make him look like a sidekick. You can't have him show up and start following orders. The second T'Challa takes orders from Tony Stark, he stops being a monarch and becomes a contractor. You'd undermine everything that makes the character work. So how do you include him in Captain America: Civil War, a movie about the Avengers Civil War, without making him part of the Avengers? You make him the third party. And that's how we got Chadwick Boseman. Oh, and by the way, he didn't audition for this role. Let's talk about how insane this...
He ain't audition? This nigga, wait. Wait. They just knew this nigga was gonna be goated? I ain't gonna lie, that's fire.
Hollywood is obsessed with auditions. You want to be Spider-Man? Screen test with 5 other guys. Chemistry reads, stunt assessments, costume fittings. It's a gauntlet. Chadwick Boseman? Kevin Feige had a conversation with him. That's it. By 2014, Boseman had played
his
Jackie
catalog
Robinson
was
in
already
42
fire.
and James Brown in Get On Up. 2 icons. 2 men who carried the weight of history on their shoulders. And Boseman played them with this quiet intensity, this regal dignity that made you believe you were watching the actual person.
This nigga Chadwick is so goated, bro. Exclusive shit, unless you mean like things like fish and chips, we got some good peri spots. It's not in the US, but yeah, I would have to think hard on other spots that is exclusive. Yeah, like some shit that you would only be able to get in London, bro. You know what I mean? If that makes sense, some shit that you can only get if you go out in London, or some shit that y'all made up that Americans or some other places can't make as good as y'all. If that makes sense. I just want to. I could probably just look some shit up, but I'm just curious on that aspect of shit. You know what I mean? Let's keep going.
Marvel didn't need to see him in the suit. They already knew. This wasn't a role you could find in the edit. You needed someone who already was a king. So they made the call from Zurich, where Boseman was promoting Get On Up. He accepted within 24 hours.
That's
it wasn't
crazy.
a casting, it was a coronation. And once you have an actor who already carries that weight, you realize something huge. You don't need to explain him. T'Challa was already Black Panther before Civil War. The incident in Vienna didn't create a hero. It stripped away the diplomat and revealed the warrior underneath. This is where Civil War gets dangerous. Because while Cap and Tony were arguing about oversight and accountability, T'Challa doesn't care about any of that. You know what that is? That's sovereignty. T'Challa isn't asking for permission. He doesn't answer to the Avengers. He's a king acting on behalf of his nation. And if you're in his way, even Captain America himself, you're getting moved.
Move, Captain. I won't ask a second time.
Close your eyes
this
for a
movie
second.
is so
Actually,
fucking
don't.
good,
You're
bro.
watching a video. That'd be weird. But think about this. How does Captain America fight? Military, disciplined, straight lines, efficiency. He fights like someone who was trained by the US Army and then given perfect reflexes. How does Iron Man fight? Stark fights like a man who has never once thrown a punch in his life, but owns the most expensive gloves on the planet. Now, how does Black Panther fight? Like a cat that just saw something shiny and also knows judo. The Russo brothers knew that in a movie this crowded with established heroes, T'Challa's physicality had to be instantly distinct. So they brought in a movement coach. Chadwick Boseman, who was already a martial artist, worked with a stunt team to develop a fighting style. The idea was that T'Challa doesn't fight like a panther metaphorically. He fights like a panther literally. Watch him chase the Winter Soldier in Civil War. He's not running behind him, he's hunting him. Relentless, efficient predation. That's characterization through choreography. And then,
That whole scene
just in
is
case there
gas,
was
bro.
any doubt about his power level, they had him scratch Captain America's shield. Captain America's shield. The audience did the math instantly. If he can scratch that, he belongs at the very top of this universe. Show, don't tell. A masterclass in visual shorthand. Okay,
Chill
we
out,
need to
chill
talk
out,
about
chill
the
out,
Dora
chill out.
Milaje.
Move, or you will be moved.
In 6 words, Marvel told you everything you needed to know about Wakanda. This isn't some third world country that needs the Avengers' help. This is a superpower, a bodyguard, not a
I mean,
super
the
soldier,
Dora
not
Milaje,
enhanced,
crazy
just a
too.
Wakandan warrior is threatening an Avenger, and she meant it. It's a power move, it's world building, and it's a signal. T'Challa is not alone. He's the tip of a spear. Behind him is a nation of warriors, scientists, and innovators, but even in 2016, that moment planted a seed. It told the audience, you don't know Wakanda yet, but you're going to want to.
Bro, and they chose the perfect nigga to write this fucking solo movie, bro. Them niggas got Ryan Coogler to make this shit, yo. Generational fucking talent in a generational fucking movie, bro.
Here's where
Elite.
Civil War becomes a tragedy, because T'Challa isn't the hero of this movie. He's a parallel to the villain. Helmut Zemo lost his family in Sokovia during
Yes.
Age of Ultron. Collateral damage from the Avengers' fight with Ultron. So he dedicates his life to tearing them apart from the inside. T'Challa lost his father in Vienna. Collateral damage from the Avengers' conflict spiraling out of control. So he dedicates his life to hunting the man responsible. They're the same. 2 men consumed by grief, weaponizing it into vengeance. The difference? T'Challa figures it out before it destroys him. Vengeance has consumed you. It's consumed them. I'm done letting it consume me. Boom. That's the moment T'Challa becomes a king. Not when he puts on the suit, not when he fights,
The
when he
Sokovians
chooses
could not have
mercy,
moved,
when he
bro.
sees the destructive cycle
Come on
and
now.
steps out of it. While the heroes were acting like children, the guy who showed up 40 minutes ago just became the most mature person in the room. Let's zoom out for a second, because what Civil War did, introducing a fully realized black king who doesn't need anyone's approval, who speaks with an African accent, who represents an uncolonized nation, that was radical.
Bro, it makes me so mad, bro. Like, we lost Chadwick way too fucking early. And I'm so grateful we got this nigga in 4 fucking movies. We got this nigga in 4 movies, bro. We got Black Panther in 4 fucking movies, bro. And my nigga passed because of fucking colon cancer, dog. Like, we got fucking robbed, bro. We got robbed of Black Panther Wakanda Forever with him and his fucking son, and we're getting robbed of him being in the 3rd movie with Denzel Washington, bro. Oh my fucking goodness, man. Some bullshit.
You know what black superheroes in the MCU looked like before this? Sidekicks, War Machine, Falcon. Incredible characters, but always in orbit around a white hero. T'Challa? He's not orbiting anyone. Iron Man and Captain America are orbiting him.
Captain.
Your Highness.
Civil War ends with a promise. It's the first time we see Wakanda, and it looked like nothing we've ever seen in the MCU. The message was clear. You've met the king. Now you're going to see the kingdom. When Black Panther premiered in 2018, it broke pre-sale records, became the highest-grossing superhero film in U.S. history at the time, and got nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. And here's the thing. None of that happens without Civil War, because Civil War did the impossible. It introduced a legacy character in an ensemble movie, gave him a complete arc, and made the audience want more, without ever showing his origin story. When people walked into Black Panther in 2018, they weren't wondering, can T'Challa fight? They already knew. They weren't wondering, is he a good leader? They watched him spare Zemo. The question wasn't, who is Black Panther? It was, what is Wakanda? And that's the movie they paid to see. Civil War gave the 2018 film permission to skip all the boring parts. No learning to be a hero montage. No discovering my powers. Just straight into the throne room, the politics, the philosophy of isolationism versus intervention. It was a masterclass in setup and payoff.
I'm doing you guys a favor by letting you even be in here.
I have a lot of questions. Number 1, how dare you?
So what did we just witness? Marvel Studios pulled off a magic trick. They introduced a character in a movie that wasn't his, gave him less screen time than the leads, and somehow made him the breakout star. How? First, T'Challa walks in fully formed. He's not trying to prove himself. That confidence is magnetic. Second, they gave him a complete arc, from vengeance to justice, from warrior to king. He doesn't just fight, he changes. And that change makes him more interesting than the heroes who stay static. Third, they made him essential to the story. He's not a cameo, he's the third point of the triangle. Remove him, and Civil War doesn't work. That forces the audience to pay attention. And finally, they trusted the audience. They didn't spoon-feed us T'Challa's backstory. They showed us a king in action and trusted we'd keep up. And we did. Here's why this matters. Chadwick Boseman wasn't just Black Panther. He embodied the role of a king, and that legacy is untouchable. Because T'Challa wasn't just a superhero, he was a symbol of sovereignty, of wisdom. He was a king who chose justice over revenge, and Civil War was the movie that introduced him to the world. So the next time you watch Civil War, pay attention to that moment in Siberia, when T'Challa retracts his claws and says, "Vengeance has consumed you."
Bro, that suit is so fire,
because that's not just a character moment.
Oh my God.
That's a coronation. If this video made you see Civil War differently, or if you've got your own favorite T'Challa moment...
We already knew that though, brother. And you know what? I'm gonna give you a like for breaking it down even more than what it was. But, bro, we knew that. We knew this nigga was goated. I mean, is there anything else to say about it?
Mr. M-O-M-E-N-T. She prays she never miss a moment.